Number 1. Complaining constantly. Complaining constantly is like dragging a heavy weight behind you everywhere you go. It's exhausting, not just for you, but for everyone around you too. It becomes a cycle that keeps you stuck, like a hamster running on a wheel. At first, it might feel good to vent. After all, life isn't always easy, and you're allowed to have a rough day. But here's the kicker: when complaining becomes a habit, it starts to define you. It becomes more than just a momentary frustration, it turns into your go-to response for everything. Now, complaining itself isn't inherently wrong. It's natural to express dissatisfaction, but there's a difference between that and making it your default mode of operation. It's about perspective. A complaint might feel like a quick way to release tension, but all it really does is amplify negativity. Instead of finding a solution, you're just pointing out the problem. That's a dangerous path, because it shifts your focus entirely. What you constantly think about grows. If you focus on everything that's wrong, everything that frustrates you, that's what your mind becomes filled with. Stoic philosophy, which encourages us to be in control of our emotions and reactions, teaches us to take responsibility for our thoughts and actions. A Stoic doesn't avoid difficulty, but rather faces it head-on, with a calm mind and a sense of purpose. Complaining is the exact opposite. It's a refusal to take responsibility for your situation. When you complain, you're giving away your power, letting circumstances dictate how you feel, instead of responding with clarity and grace. The problem is, when you complain, you're also sending out a message. People begin to associate you with negativity. It's not about what you want to project, but what others start to perceive. When all you do is complain, it can be hard for anyone to take you seriously, or respect you for that matter. Respect isn't just about your actions, it's about the energy you bring into a room. If you walk in with a constant cloud of complaints hanging over you, it's hard for people to respect you. Why? Because it shows that you're not taking ownership of your life. You're choosing to focus on what's wrong, rather than looking for solutions. Respect is built on the foundation of personal accountability and strength. It's about showing that you can handle life's challenges without being consumed by them. Complaining is an easy trap to fall into because it feels good in the moment. But real strength lies in finding peace and clarity in the chaos. When you stop complaining, you start taking control of your thoughts, of your emotions, and of your life. You begin to shift your focus from what's wrong to what can be done about it. Instead of just talking about the problem, you start looking for ways to solve it. So, the next time you catch yourself about to complain, take a pause. Ask yourself, is this going to help me grow? Will it change the situation? Most often, the answer is no. By breaking the habit of complaining, you free yourself from the weight of negativity and open the door to a more empowered, peaceful way of living. And that, my friend, is what truly earns respect. Number 2, seeking validation from others. Let's face it, craving validation from others is a trap. It's like chasing a moving target that gets further away the more you run after it. One minute you're riding high because someone gave you a compliment, and the next, you're drowning in self-doubt because someone else criticized you. It's exhausting, isn't it? The truth is, when you let other people's opinions dictate your self-worth, you hand over control of your life. And let me tell you, that's a surefire way to lose respect, not just from others but from yourself. Think about it. When you're constantly fishing for approval, what are you really saying about yourself? You're screaming to the world, I don't trust my own judgment, please tell me I'm enough. That energy? It's palpable. People pick up on it, consciously or not, and it erodes their respect for you. They see you as someone who bends and twists, always trying to fit into whatever mold others set. That's not strength. That's not stoicism. That's not the kind of person people admire. Now, let's dig a little deeper. Why do we even do this? Maybe it's fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being seen as less than, or fear of being alone. It's natural to want to belong, human, even. But when you let that need to fit and override your sense of self, you shrink. You become a shadow of what you could be. Here's the kicker: the people whose opinions you're so desperate to win over, they're too busy wrestling with their own insecurities to notice half the stuff you're doing to impress them. And let's not sugarcoat it, seeking validation makes you manipulative in subtle ways. You might act overly agreeable, hide your real opinions, or fake interests just to win someone over. That's not authenticity, that's performance. And you can't respect yourself when you're always putting on a show. Worse yet, others sense when you're not being real, and it creates a barrier. Genuine connections can't thrive in an environment of pretense. So, how do you break free from this toxic cycle? Start by flipping the script. Shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, do I like the person I am? Am I living in alignment with my own values, my own standards? When you make your opinion of yourself the one that matters most, something magical happens. You stop needing applause to feel good about yourself. You become grounded, unshakable. And ironically, that's when respect comes naturally, because people admire someone who walks confidently in their truth. Here's the bottom line: you'll never be respected if you're a slave to other people's approval. Respect starts with you. Stop seeking. Start being. And watch how the world adjusts to the real you. Number 3, gossiping about others. Alright, let's get real here. Gossiping? It's like fast food for the soul, cheap, easy, and kind of satisfying in the moment, but it leaves you feeling empty and maybe even a little gross afterward. People don't respect you for it. They might laugh along, nod, or even add their 2 cents, but deep down, they're probably questioning your integrity. Why? Because if you're willing to talk about someone else behind their back, what's stopping you from doing the same to them? Think about it. When you gossip, you're basically handing people a roadmap to distrust you. It's not the kind of vibe you want to carry around, right? Nobody looks at the person spreading rumors and thinks, wow, they're so inspiring. Instead, they think, I better watch what I say around them. And that's not respect, that's fear or caution, which is a pretty poor substitute. Here's the kicker: gossip isn't just bad for your reputation, it's bad for you. Every time you engage in it, you're throwing focus on other people's flaws or drama instead of leveling up your own life. It's like you're pouring your energy into someone else's mess instead of cleaning up your own act. You're stalling your own growth while adding zero value to the world around you. Not a great trade-off, huh? And let's talk about the people who thrive on gossip. These aren't the folks at the top of their game, making waves, and living fulfilling lives. Nope, they're usually stuck, unsatisfied, and looking for an easy way to feel superior, or at least less crappy about their own situation. When you rise above gossip, you're not just avoiding negativity, you're setting yourself apart from that low-energy crowd. What's even more frustrating is how addictive gossip can be. It starts small, like a little crack in the dam, but before you know it, it's a full-on flood. One juicy detail leads to another, and suddenly, you're deep in a conversation that adds zero value to your life or anyone else's. Breaking that habit takes awareness. You've got to catch yourself in the act and ask, what am I really gaining from this? Spoiler alert, the answer is usually nothing. But here's the silver lining: when you stop gossiping, people notice. They see you as someone who values integrity and loyalty, someone they can trust. You become the person who builds others up instead of tearing them down. And let me tell you, that's powerful. It's like a magnet for respect, genuine connections, and better opportunities. So, next time you feel the urge to dish out the latest drama, pause. Bite your tongue if you have to. Shift the conversation to something positive or just listen without adding fuel to the fire. You'll not only save yourself from the mess of gossip but also step into a version of yourself that's worth respecting. Trust me, it's a game changer. Number 4. Breaking promises. Breaking promises, it's one of those habits that seems harmless at first but slowly chips away at your integrity over time. At first, maybe you're just running late or you've overbooked yourself. It's no big deal, right? You tell someone you'll do something, and then, life happens. But here's the thing, every time you break a promise, no matter how small, you send a message, not just to others, but to yourself. That message is loud and clear, my word doesn't mean much. Now, think about that. What happens when you start telling yourself that your promises don't matter? Well, you stop taking them seriously. And if you don't take your promises seriously, how can you expect others to? This is where the problem starts. A promise is a reflection of who you are. It's not just about fulfilling a task, it's about showing up for yourself and for others. When you break promises, you erode your own trust in yourself. You weaken your sense of reliability and character. In the Stoic view, everything comes down to control. The only thing you truly have control over is your own actions, thoughts, and decisions. Promises are one of the few things we can control with absolute certainty, yet, when we break them, we surrender that control. By failing to follow through, we place our reputation, our reliability, and our respect into the hands of external circumstances. It's like handing over the keys to your integrity and saying, "I'll get back to it later." But the problem isn't just the immediate consequences of breaking a promise. It's the long-term impact on your character. Every time you tell someone you'll do something and don't, that's a little crack in your foundation. Over time, those cracks widen, and the structure becomes unstable. People start to see you as unreliable, and worse, they begin to question your word. That's when respect fades. People won't trust you if they can't count on you to keep your promises, and without trust, respect doesn't stand a chance. Think about it. You wouldn't trust someone who constantly lets you down, right? So why would you expect anyone to respect someone who can't follow through? The Stoics emphasize the importance of consistency in your actions. What you say and what you do must align. When you break promises, you're essentially saying your actions don't matter. You're sending the message that what you say isn't worth acting on, and that's a dangerous game to play, especially when respect is on the line. When you make a promise, you're giving someone a piece of your integrity. By keeping your word, you solidify your character in the eyes of others. Respect is built on that consistency. It's about showing up when you say you will, and following through even when it's difficult. When you keep promises, big or small, you send a powerful message: you can count on me. My word means something. In the end, breaking promises doesn't just break trust, it breaks you. It chips away at your character, making it harder to build the respect you want and deserve. The simple act of keeping your promises, no matter how tough, has the power to strengthen your integrity, your relationships, and most importantly, your self-respect. Number 5. Being overly reactive. Picture this: something unexpected happens, and instead of pausing to think, you explode. Maybe you yell, maybe you panic, or maybe you make a snap decision that backfires 5 minutes later. Sound familiar? Being overly reactive is like letting life's events hold a remote control to your emotions. You're a puppet, pulled in every direction by whatever drama or challenge pops up next. And let's be honest, that's not the vibe of someone who commands respect. When you're quick to react, you're essentially saying, "I don't have control over myself." And if you can't control yourself, how can anyone take you seriously? People see an overly reactive person as unstable, unpredictable, or even weak. It's harsh, but it's true. When every little thing sets you off, whether it's frustration, anger, or anxiety, you project chaos. And chaos doesn't inspire trust or admiration. Now, let's talk about what's really happening when you overreact. It's rarely about the situation itself. It's deeper. Maybe it's your ego flaring up, demanding to be heard or defended. Maybe it's your insecurities bubbling to the surface. Or maybe you've just trained yourself to respond on impulse instead of reflection. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. You let the moment control you, rather than controlling the moment. Here's the catch: being reactive often feels justified. You might tell yourself, well, they shouldn't have said that. Or this situation is totally out of line. But even if you're right, what good does it do to lash out or fall apart? Overreacting doesn't fix the issue. It usually makes things worse. Arguments escalate. Relationships strain. Opportunities slip through your fingers because you were too busy letting your emotions call the shots. So, how do you stop being overly reactive? First, take a breath. Seriously, it sounds simple, but it's powerful. That pause creates space between the trigger and your response. And in that space, you can choose. Will you let the situation dictate your mood? Or will you rise above it? Stoic philosophy teaches us that we don't control external events, only how we respond to them. If you can master that, you become untouchable. Another trick? Train your mind to zoom out. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week? A month? A year? Most of the time, the answer is no. When you keep the bigger picture in view, the small stuff loses its grip on you. You become calmer, more deliberate, and, most importantly, respected. Here's the deal: life is going to throw curveballs. People will say things that get under your skin. Problems will arise when you least expect them. But you don't have to react to everything. In fact, the less reactive you are, the more power you hold. Because a calm mind is a strong mind. And a strong mind? That's the kind of thing people respect. Number 6, procrastinating important tasks. Let's not sugarcoat it, procrastination is a silent killer. Not in the dramatic, life-ending sense, but in the way it slowly erodes your potential, your confidence, and your respect. You know the drill. That important task you keep shoving to the back burner? It's like a weight you're carrying around. The longer you avoid it, the heavier it gets. And people notice. They see when you're the person who always talks big but delivers small, or not at all. Why do we procrastinate? It's not laziness, not really. It's fear, mostly. Fear of failure, fear of success, or maybe just fear of discomfort. The task feels overwhelming, so you put it off for later. Spoiler, later is a myth. It doesn't exist. What does exist is now, and every time you push things off, you're robbing yourself of the chance to grow and prove yourself. That's not a good look for someone aiming for respect. Let's not kid ourselves. Procrastination doesn't just make you less effective, it makes you less trustworthy. When you consistently delay the important stuff, people start doubting you. They think, if they can't handle their own priorities, how can I count on them for mine? That's how opportunities slip through your fingers. Not because you're incapable, but because you couldn't show up when it mattered. Respect, my friend, is about showing up. Now, let's get into the head games we play. You might convince yourself that you work better under pressure, or that you'll magically find the perfect moment to start. But deep down, you know that's garbage. Waiting until the last minute? It's not heroic, it's reckless. It creates a cycle of unnecessary stress and half-baked results. And that stress? It doesn't just affect you, it spills into your relationships and work. Nobody respects the person who's always scrambling at the 11th hour. Here's the thing, procrastination isn't just a habit, it's a mindset. It's this weird belief that your future self will have more energy, more motivation, or more time than you do right now. But future you is still just you. And they're going to be just as annoyed as you are now if you keep piling things on their plate. But let's flip the script for a second. What happens when you stop procrastinating? Suddenly, you're ahead of the curve. You're the person who gets things done without anyone having to nag or remind you. People respect that. They admire someone who takes initiative, who tackles challenges head-on, who doesn't flinch at the hard stuff. That's how you build trust, and trust is the cornerstone of respect. So how do you break the cycle? Start small. Tackle one thing you've been avoiding, even if it's just a baby step. Feel that momentum? That's progress, and it's addictive. Build on it. Train yourself to do the hard things first. They might not get easier, but you'll get stronger. And the stronger you get, the more people will look up to you, not just for what you accomplish, but for the example you set. Number 7, blaming others for your failures. Blaming others for your failures, it's a habit that feels almost too easy to fall into, isn't it? It's tempting, because it lets you off the hook. You don't have to face your shortcomings head-on. You can just point a finger and walk away, leaving the responsibility on someone else's shoulders. But here's the catch: while it might feel like a relief in the moment, it's actually one of the most corrosive habits you can have if you want respect, and more importantly, personal growth. The Stoics had a simple yet profound perspective on this. You are in charge of your own life, your actions, and your reactions. No one else holds the keys to your success or failure. Those keys are entirely in your hands. When you blame others for things that go wrong, you're doing something dangerous. You're relinquishing control over your own life. You're saying, "It's not my fault. It's theirs." But the truth is, by blaming others, you give up the opportunity to learn, grow, and truly own your path. The moment you point the finger at someone else, you stop looking inward. You stop asking yourself the hard questions. What did I miss? What could I have done differently? How can I improve? Without those questions, you're not evolving. Instead, you're staying stuck, forever trapped in a loop of excuses. And the more you make excuses, the more you keep yourself from reaching your full potential. When you constantly blame others, it starts to shape how others see you, too. People might feel sympathy for you in the short term, but over time, that sympathy fades and is replaced with a sense of distance. Why? Because they start to see you as someone who avoids responsibility, someone who never takes ownership of their actions. And respect doesn't grow from a foundation like that. If people see you as incapable of owning up to your mistakes, how can they respect you? They won't. Respect is earned through accountability. It's about showing that you have the strength to face your failures, learn from them, and improve. When you blame others, you're not just harming your external relationships, you're harming your internal relationship with yourself. Self-respect is built on taking full responsibility for your actions, your mistakes, and your growth. Blaming others takes away that power. It makes you feel powerless, as if your success or failure is entirely dependent on external factors beyond your control. But that's a lie. The truth is, you have far more control over your life than you might think. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control the world or the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. And this is where the power lies. When something goes wrong, rather than immediately blaming someone else, the Stoic mindset says, "What can I do about this? How can I learn from this situation? What steps can I take to make sure this doesn't happen again?" That's the approach that leads to growth, respect, and true mastery over your own life. So, the next time things don't go as planned, resist the urge to blame others. Instead, ask yourself, how did I contribute to this? What can I learn? When you take responsibility for your actions, you start to reclaim control over your life. You'll not only gain respect from others, but you'll also respect yourself on a much deeper level. And that, my friend, is what makes all the difference. Number 8, lying or exaggerating. Let's cut straight to it. Lying, even the tiny white ones, chips away at your credibility. And exaggerating? That's just lying with a fancy coat on. Sure, in the moment, it might feel harmless, even clever. Maybe it helps you avoid a tough situation, win someone's approval, or make yourself sound more interesting. But here's the thing, every time you twist the truth, you weaken the foundation of who you are. And respect? It crumbles when there's no solid ground beneath it. When you lie, you're essentially admitting that the truth isn't good enough. Think about that. It's like telling yourself, who I am or what I've done doesn't measure up, so I need to embellish. That mindset screams insecurity. And insecurity, no matter how well you try to hide it, seeps out. People can sense when someone isn't genuine, and the moment they catch even a whiff of dishonesty, their trust in you takes a nosedive. Without trust, respect doesn't stand a chance. Exaggeration might feel like a softer offense, but don't be fooled. Overstating things to make yourself look better is just as damaging. Why? Because eventually, the truth surfaces. It always does. And when it does, people don't just question the one exaggerated story, they question everything you've ever said. Suddenly, your words lose weight, and your reputation starts to feel lighter than air. But lying or exaggerating doesn't just hurt how others see you, it messes with how you see yourself. Deep down, you know when you're not being truthful. You feel it. And over time, that eats away at your self-respect. You start doubting your own integrity, questioning your worth. It's a vicious cycle. The more you lie, the less you respect yourself. The less you respect yourself, the more you feel the need to lie. Breaking that cycle is tough, but it's necessary if you ever want to hold your head high. Now, let's flip the script. Imagine how liberating it would feel to always speak the truth, to never have to keep track of what you said to whom. No mental gymnastics, no fear of being exposed. Just authenticity. That kind of honesty isn't just refreshing, it's magnetic. People are drawn to those who are real, even if the truth they share isn't glamorous. Why? Because honesty signals strength. It says, this is who I am, take it or leave it. But let's be real, telling the truth all the time isn't easy. It takes guts. Sometimes, the truth makes you vulnerable, or it forces you to own up to mistakes. But here's the thing, vulnerability and accountability aren't weaknesses. They're signs of someone who's grounded, self-aware, and confident enough to face reality head-on. And that's the kind of person people respect. So, ditch the lies. Drop the exaggerations. Trust that the truth, your truth, is enough. Because when you live authentically, respect isn't something you have to chase. It comes to you naturally. Number 9. Disrespecting others' boundaries. Let's talk boundaries. They're like invisible fences everyone has around their lives. These fences are built out of personal preferences, comfort zones, and non-negotiables. When you ignore them, even unintentionally, it's not just rude, it's a fast track to losing respect. People need to feel that their space, time, and emotions are valued. When you cross those lines, you're sending a message, your needs don't matter as much as mine. And let's be real, who's going to respect someone with that kind of energy? Here's the thing, boundaries aren't always obvious. They're not neon signs flashing in your face. Sometimes they're subtle, hidden in the way someone reacts, the tone of their voice, or the way they withdraw when something feels off. It's on you to pay attention. Respect isn't just about avoiding blatant offenses, it's about tuning in and recognizing when you might be stepping where you don't belong. Now, why do people disrespect boundaries? A lot of times, it's not malicious. It's ignorance, impatience, or maybe even entitlement. You might think you're being helpful by pushing someone to open up or just try harder, but what you're actually doing is bulldozing over their limits. That doesn't make you look strong or caring, it makes you look clueless, and sometimes controlling. Nobody admires that. But here's the kicker: when you disrespect boundaries, you're not just damaging the other person, you're hurting yourself too. Think about it. Every time you ignore someone's limits, you're creating a rift. Trust erodes. Relationships get tense. And suddenly, you're left wondering why people don't open up to you or why they seem distant. It's not rocket science, they don't feel safe around you. And respect? That's built on safety. Let's get one thing straight: respecting boundaries isn't about walking on eggshells. It's not about overthinking every interaction or being scared to speak your mind. It's about balance. It's knowing when to step back, when to step forward, and when to just hold space for someone without forcing your agenda on them. And yeah, it's a skill. One you get better at with practice and intention. But why is this so important? Because respecting boundaries shows self-control. It shows maturity. It shows that you're the kind of person who understands that the world doesn't revolve around you. People notice that. They remember it. They start to trust you more because they know you'll listen, you'll understand, and you'll respect where they're coming from even if you don't agree with it. So how do you get better at this? Simple: start asking. When you're unsure, just ask. Is this okay, or how do you feel about that? Might seem basic, but they're game changers. And when someone says no, or even hints at discomfort, listen. Really listen. Pull back. Respect their no like it's the most important thing in the world, because to them, it is. In the end, respecting boundaries isn't just about avoiding conflict or being polite. It's about showing that you see people as individuals with their own rights, needs, and experiences. That's where real respect begins, and it's the kind that lasts. Number 10, overindulging in vices. Overindulging in vices, it's one of those habits that can sneak up on you, isn't it? It starts off feeling like a harmless escape, a way to unwind, and before you know it, you're caught in a cycle where the temporary pleasure begins to outweigh long-term growth. You might tell yourself it's fine to indulge every now and then, but over time, those occasional indulgences start to pile up, slowly shifting your focus away from your goals and toward short-term satisfaction. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone has their moments of weakness. Life can be tough, and sometimes you need a way to relax or cope. But when you overindulge, whether it's in food, drink, distractions, or even self-destructive behavior, you're essentially handing over control of your life to these fleeting pleasures. And once you do that, you lose your power. It's like letting someone else steer the ship while you sit back and let them take you wherever they want. The Stoic mindset is all about control. You can't control everything around you, but you can absolutely control your actions, your thoughts, and how you respond to temptation. Overindulging in vices goes against that very principle. It's not about enjoying life's pleasures, but about how you enjoy them. The Stoics believed in living a life of moderation. It's the middle path that gives you balance and stability. When you overindulge, you're stepping off that path and diving headfirst into chaos. Think about it. When you indulge excessively, what happens? You may feel good in the moment, but afterward, you're left with a sense of emptiness. It's a temporary high that fades quickly, leaving you with guilt or regret. That emptiness grows the more you chase after these quick fixes. It's a cycle that feeds on itself, and before you know it, you're no longer in control of your actions. The vices have taken the reins, and you're no longer steering your own ship. And here's the kicker: when you give in to these urges all the time, it becomes harder to respect yourself. Self-respect is built on self-control, on the ability to make choices that align with your values and goals. Overindulging in vices weakens that foundation. You begin to feel less capable of controlling your own behavior, and that's a slippery slope. How can you expect anyone else to respect you when you don't even respect yourself enough to maintain control? The Stoics were big on the idea that true happiness doesn't come from external pleasures, but from internal peace. When you overindulge, you're chasing that fleeting pleasure, always looking outside yourself for happiness. But the truth is, real fulfillment comes from within, from cultivating discipline, from staying true to your values, and from being the master of your own desires. When you live in a state of constant indulgence, you're distracting yourself from the deeper work that leads to lasting satisfaction. So, the next time you feel the urge to overindulge, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this really helping me grow? Will this bring me closer to my goals? Chances are, the answer won't be yes. Moderation isn't about deprivation, it's about regaining control over your life. It's about choosing what truly brings you fulfillment, rather than mindlessly giving into whatever feels good in the moment. When you can master your desires, you not only earn the respect of others, you gain a deeper respect for yourself. And that's the kind of power that makes all the difference. Number 11, being envious or jealous. Let's be real, envy and jealousy are like poison for your soul. They creep in quietly, often disguised as something harmless, but before you know it, they've consumed your thoughts and hijacked your peace. When you're envious, you're not just wishing for what someone else has, you're telling yourself that their success somehow diminishes your own. That mindset? It's toxic. It warps your perspective, clouds your judgment, and, most importantly, steals your ability to focus on your own growth. Here's the thing about jealousy, it's rooted in lack. It whispers, you don't have enough. You're not enough. And when you start listening to that voice, it's game over. You begin to compare every little thing, their achievements, their relationships, their lifestyle. You start measuring your life against theirs, as if someone else's journey has anything to do with yours. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. But as long as you're caught up in envy, you'll never see that. You'll be too busy watching their lane to notice the opportunities in your own. And let's not ignore how envy makes you look to others. When you're consumed by jealousy, it's obvious. Maybe you throw subtle jabs, downplay someone's success, or act overly critical. People see through it, and it's not a good look. No one respects someone who's bitter about other people's wins. In fact, it makes you seem small, like you're not confident enough in yourself to be genuinely happy for others. Respect thrives on strength, humility, and generosity of spirit, not on pettiness and resentment. Now, let's get to the root of the issue. Why do we even feel envy in the first place? At its core, it's insecurity. It's the fear that you're falling behind or that someone else's shine somehow makes your light dimmer. But here's the truth, life isn't a zero-sum game. Someone else's success doesn't take anything away from you. In fact, if you shift your mindset, you can let their achievements inspire you instead of intimidate you. So how do you shake off envy and jealousy? Start with gratitude. Yeah, I know, it sounds cliché, but hear me out. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, you remind yourself that your life is already full in its own unique way. Gratitude grounds you. It helps you see that you don't need to compete with anyone because your path is yours alone. Another trick? Celebrate others. It's not just about being polite or nice, it's about rewiring your brain. When you make a habit of genuinely appreciating other people's wins, you'll notice something magical. The envy fades. You feel lighter, freer, and, ironically, more confident in yourself. That confidence? That's where respect lives. At the end of the day, envy and jealousy are chains you put on yourself. They don't serve you. They don't push you forward. They just keep you stuck, watching from the sidelines. So let them go. Focus on your own journey, your own progress. That's where your power and your respect truly lies. Number 12, avoiding responsibility. Let's cut straight to it. Dodging responsibility is a respect killer. Period. It's like saying, yeah, I want the rewards, but I'm not willing to do the work. People notice that. They see when you avoid stepping up, and trust me, it's not a good look. Responsibility is one of those things you can't fake or outsource. You either own it, or you don't. Here's the truth, life is full of things you'd rather not deal with. Deadlines, tough conversations, making decisions that actually matter. It's not always fun. But avoiding it? That doesn't make it go away. It just piles up, waiting to explode at the worst possible moment. And what's worse, when you constantly pass the buck, people start losing faith in you. They stop counting on you, not because they're mad, but because they've learned you can't be counted on. Ouch, right? But let's get into why this happens. Avoiding responsibility often comes from fear. Fear of failure, fear of looking bad, or maybe just fear of not knowing what to do. And look, that's human. We all feel it. But here's the kicker, when you let that fear control you, you're giving it power over your life. Instead of stepping up, you step back. Instead of learning and growing, you stay stuck. And the people around you? They see someone who's shrinking from life instead of owning it. Now, let's talk about the excuses. Oh, the excuses. It's not my job. I'm too busy. Someone else will handle it. Sound familiar? These little lies we tell ourselves might feel like self-protection, but they're actually self-sabotage. Because every time you avoid responsibility, you're missing a chance to prove yourself, not just to others, but to yourself. And that's where respect starts, with you. On the flip side, there's something magnetic about someone who takes ownership. They don't need to have all the answers. They don't even need to succeed every time. What matters is that they try. They step into the arena and give it their best shot, even when it's uncomfortable. That kind of energy? It's contagious. People respect it because it's rare. It's real. So how do you break the habit of avoidance? Start small. Take ownership of something today, even if it feels minor. Own your mistakes, yes, even the embarrassing ones. When you mess up, don't deflect or blame. Say, that's on me. Here's how I'll fix it. It's scary at first, sure, but the payoff is worth it. You'll feel more confident, more capable, and, dare I say it, more respected. In the end, avoiding responsibility isn't just about sidestepping a task or two. It's about avoiding growth. It's about staying stuck in a cycle of mediocrity instead of rising to the challenge. So stop running from it. Step up. Take the reins. Because the moment you start taking responsibility for your life and your choices is the moment people start taking you seriously. And isn't that the kind of person you want to be? Number 13, neglecting personal growth. Neglecting personal growth is like putting your life on autopilot. You stop actively steering the ship and let it drift wherever the wind takes you. At first, it might feel easy, even comfortable. You're not pushing yourself, you're not stressing about growth, and everything seems fine. But here's the catch, that comfort is an illusion. Over time, when you neglect personal growth, you're actually sinking into stagnation. You're not moving forward, you're just stuck. Personal growth is essential, not just for your own well-being, but for your respectability. Let's face it, no one respects someone who isn't trying to get better. People respect those who push their limits, who aim higher, and who constantly seek self-improvement. The Stoics knew this all too well. They believed that a life of virtue, wisdom, and growth wasn't just a nice idea, it was a necessity for living a meaningful life. The Stoics weren't interested in a life of comfort, they were interested in the life of progress, no matter how challenging or difficult. Neglecting growth isn't just about ignoring the big, obvious things. It's about ignoring the small, everyday opportunities to become a better version of yourself. It's about saying, I'll just stay where I am for now. I don't need to push myself today. But those days, when added together, add up to weeks, months, and years of wasted potential. And here's the thing, life doesn't wait for you to catch up. While you're standing still, others are moving forward, getting better, and growing. And as they grow, they naturally begin to attract respect, while those who aren't growing remain stagnant and forgotten. When you neglect your growth, you're also neglecting your future. The person you are today is only the beginning. To achieve what you want in life, you need to constantly level up. It's about expanding your mind, pushing your boundaries, and gaining new skills. Personal growth isn't just about reading a self-help book or doing a workout now and then. It's about embedding growth into your very existence. It's about challenging yourself daily to be better than yesterday, whether that's through learning something new, improving your habits, or expanding your emotional intelligence. The Stoics were firm believers in intentional self-discipline and development. They didn't leave growth to chance, they practiced it daily. They knew that neglecting personal growth was the easiest way to lose track of who you are and what you're capable of. When you stop growing, you stop becoming. You become a version of yourself that you could have outgrown long ago. It's not enough to just exist. It's about finding purpose in the process of growth. And when you do that, when you commit to constant self-improvement, you start to develop an aura of respect around you. People see you as someone who values progress, who puts in the work, and who understands that growth is a lifelong journey. They see that you're serious about your future, and that in itself commands respect. So, if you're not making personal growth a priority, it's time to shift gears. Start small, but be consistent. Take that first step, and then the next, and the next. Whether it's in your mindset, your health, your skills, or your relationships, growth needs to be a part of everything you do. Because when you neglect it, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind. And that, my friend, is a surefire way to lose respect. Thank you for watching. Respect begins with the habits we cultivate in our daily lives. By letting go of these 13 toxic patterns, you can align yourself with the principles of Stoic philosophy and command respect through your actions and character. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. Share this with someone who's ready to take their life to the next level. Remember, true respect isn't demanded, it's earned by the way you live. Keep striving, stay disciplined, and continue building your inner control. Until next time, take care and stay strong.